Arashi, Prince of the Sky. Chapter 12. Secrets. When he got off the train, he skipped up the steps into Harlem. It was turning out to be a warm autumn day. Students were enjoying a day off from school, so the block was littered with kids, running around and playing in the nearby parks. Sometimes, he longed to be the type of kid that liked to play in the park without a care in the world. He wished for a moment that he was not aware of all the horrors of the world. Even though his experiences have afforded him countless lessons learned that benefited him greatly, sometimes he wished he didn't know what he knew. Ignorance, in a sense, was bliss. Children were supposed to be this way. They're innocent.
Hey, you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Just thinking. Hey, do you know why we're born with this knowing? Why not just wipe our brains so we forget? It seems like everyone else was blessed with this amnesia thing. They remembered nothing of their past lives, even forget some of the things they've learned along the way in this one. They seem to forget the things they've gone through and even the things that scared them. They get to enjoy a new life, a chance to start over with no memories. They can make the same mistakes and hopefully learn from them, but they get to enjoy the moment and the experience of growing up again, as if it was their first time.
I cannot say for certain why, brother. Do you really want to forget? You know, amnesia isn't a blessing, it's a curse, probably the greatest curse of the world. To forget who you are and why you're here, that's the curse. We are blessed to remember because it's our responsibility, and the balance of the world is resting on our shoulders. Humans tend to forget what is important, and they can be manipulated to do things that hurt the earth, each other, and perpetuate fear. Arashi, to forget is to be lost.
To forget is also to be free.
Brother, what is this sorrow in you? To forget is to lose everything, the good and the bad. There's no choosing. Losing memory is the saddest thing on earth.
To some, maybe, but not if the majority of your memories are of nothing but pain. Even the pain of what was good and is now lost. It's pure torture. He heard it again, the sound of glass breaking, echoing in the darkness.
Brother, stop this. It's fear's curse. You can't allow it to darken your spirit. Don't allow it to make you feel like you don't have things worth remembering. Never forget who you are or why you are here. Focus on the good. Focus on the love you found here and the wonderful moments. Promise me.
Okay, I promise. A single tear escaped from his eye. A police squad car pulled up in front of them just as he was about to cross the street. Shit! What the hell do they want? Hey, you should probably take off. I have a feeling they won't let me go.
What should I do then?
Hey kid, you mind if we chat with you for a moment?
One of the officers said to him as they exited the car. I don't know, get in an abe, he said to her as he raised his hands. She took off and he watched her fly away towards home. The officer watched her go as well.
The heck? Hey kid, you can put your hands down. You're not under arrest. We just wanted to ask you a couple questions, okay? You fit the description of an attacker that happened on the D Brooklyn-bound train.
The officer said to him. He was a stocky white guy with a belly. His partner exited the car from the driver's side, a female cop. She was much younger than he was by the looks of it. All Arashi could do was shrug and pretend he didn't know what they were talking about. The officer went on.
This attack was involving 4 boys, one of which is in the hospital with serious conditions. They also mentioned that this attacker was mute. You want to tell us about that? Huh?
Shit, that's the one thing I can't pretend not to be. Oh, it's time to go. He kept his demeanor calm. Then he quickly pointed at something behind them. They took the bait. So with their backs turned, he took a deep breath and blew out a gust of wind like a big bad wolf. It was powerful enough to knock the cops off their feet while Arashi took the opportunity to run. He ran as fast as he could with the wind under his feet. He was already halfway down the opposite street before they even hit the ground. The cops had no way of following him. Gone like the wind, he lost them in the city blocks before they even knew what was happening. He managed to run 4 blocks in 10 seconds. He threw off his jacket so they wouldn't know it was him, just in case. He found a low-key back alley, made his way down it, making sure to stay out of sight. He leaned up against the wall, next to a dumpster, to catch his breath. How the hell did they find me? That was way too coincidental. Now I'm on the run from the cops. Great. The sound of footsteps interrupted his thoughts. They were close, and he knew he wasn't alone. However, there was no way those cops could have followed behind him. He peeked out from behind the dumpster and saw a man in a black suit walking into the alley. It looked like a very expensive and clean suit. It was clear that this dude was not just taking a nice stroll down a back alley street. He was a tall, skinny dude with pale skin and black chopped hair like he was in the Beatles. He had a cocky walk, and Ari could smell his cheap cologne.
Little boy, oh little boy, are you lost? Need some help finding your mommy?
The man said in a mocking tone. Arashi just glared. Okay. Who's this asshole? I can deal. He got to his feet and walked from behind the dumpster to face the man full on. He wasn't afraid or intimidated by him or his tacky suit. He sensed someone else behind him. He glanced over his shoulder to witness another man in a similar suit walking up from the other end of the alley.
There you are. No need to fret, little one. My name is Frank Lenoy. This is my associate Martin Foyle. We work for an organization that is very interested in the things you can do.
He waited for a response, but Arashi just folded his hands and waited for him to continue.
We are not here to harm you, boy. We just wanted to be allies. You see, I believe we can help one another with the mutual goal of taking down fear for good. We've been watching you, and you would prove to be a great asset in the battle against fear.
Arashi tilts his head in response. How does this human know about the threat of fear? Who the hell are these guys?
We are well aware of your abilities, Arashi. That's how you say it, correct?
His heart rate was starting to rise. This guy was playing with him, and he didn't like it. Frank chuckled a bit more.
Listen, with your skills, you can prove yourself extremely useful and help us do the good work. I mean, you could just go to jail since the police are looking for you. Your choice.
Frank removes his sunglasses to reveal his golden eyes. They looked spooky up against his dark hair and pale skin. This guy clearly was no regular human.
I'm just a human, born and bred, but I've been developing my spirit powers for a very long time. Nevertheless, I can see that even with all my years of experience, my power is nothing compared to your natural given abilities. I can see the power in your eyes, the electricity surging through you. Fascinating, really.
Yeah, Jeepers creepers. Arashi was fed up with listening to him. He might be well-meaning, but doesn't change the fact that he gives off pervert vibes. Arashi let out a long, exasperated sigh and hand signaled to Frank, saying, "I'm mute, fool," not knowing if he knew sign language or not, but hoping he'd get the message. Frank smiled a sinister grin and reached into his pocket. Arashi tensed up for a moment, but then relaxed when he saw what the man was holding, although he didn't know what it was exactly. Frank walks over to him slowly and hands him the device. Arashi looked at it, then back up at Frank for an explanation before he touched it.
It's a talking device. Open up the mini keyboard and type what you want to say, and the device will relay the message. Understood?
Arashi didn't think it would be possible for this guy to speak without sounding like a condescending jerk. He snatched the device from his hand and starts tapping away.
Do you enjoy cornering little boys in alleys?
The device said in the voice of a male British accent. A scowl ran across Frank's face, but faded a moment later, replaced with a pleasant, fake grin.
Oh, there's your personality. Figured you were a smartass like your brother.
Arashi's grin faded at the mention of Shimari.
And what do you know about my brother?
More than I actually care to know. So, little boy, are you in or not?
First of all, stop calling me a little boy, you dick.
Frank, stop being so charming. You don't want to be on my little brother's bad side. Trust me.
When Arashi turns around, he sees Nanabe walking up the side alley. She too was wearing an all-black uniform suit, tailored and stitched to hug her body perfectly, showing off her supermodel frame. She kept her hair in a tight ponytail. He looked at her even more confused than before. What is this, a bootleg Men in Black? Nanabe, what the F is going on? Arashi puts the device away and hand signs to her so only she could understand. She looks at him with a disapproving look. She hands him his blue windbreaker, which he ditched in the streets. He thanked her and put it on while she spoke.
All you need to know right now is you're safe and that these men are under my command. You don't have anything to worry about.
Okay, well, tell me something.
Okay, the real reason I left home, my actual job is running this organization. We are called Mudalahara, aka Root. We raise and train spiritually inclined humans to reach their fullest potential as spirit warriors in the attempts to be ready to combat fear whenever it rears its ugly head. And right now, it's time to be on high alert. After what has happened over the past couple of days, that's why I'm here.
Arashi was listening intently. This was huge. Nanabe was running an underground school for people with powers? Who did she think she was, Professor X? Wow, that's pretty awesome. She laughed and put her arm around his shoulder and led them to walk back out the alley.
Bishop and Burmy don't know about my work. I've kept it a secret from them for their own safety. I wouldn't have involved you either, but the other night was not foreseen. The power that the stone unlocked in you was not something I was expecting, and it revealed to me that there's still so much we don't know about the power of the crystals and how they could affect the balance of the world.
That reminded him of the talk he had with the Moon Spirit about humans, and wondered if this was what she meant.
If we can find the rest of those crystals and tip the balance in the favor of good, then we have a fighting chance against fear, but we need your help.
They stopped once they reached the entrance to the alley. There was no one in the streets but them. What was going on? Nanabe bent down and held Arashi's hand in hers and looked deep into his eyes.
Will you help us? This will only happen if you want it to, little brother.
Arashi looked back at her, then down at the ground. He thought about everything he wanted in his life and realized that this was his mission. It has always been to defeat fear and keep the balance of the world. How could he say no to this? Suddenly, his life had a little bit more meaning. There was a warm glow that was starting to fill him from the inside. He looked back at Nanabe with the light of determination in his eyes, which were dancing like fireworks. He nodded his head yes, but he wasn't finished. He grabbed the device from his pocket and starts typing, then played it out loud for everyone to hear.
I accept. Just keep that pervert with the lizard eyes away from me.
Nanabe laughed out loud, then covered her mouth to try to stifle it. Franck walked past them to the black SUV parked on the street and scuffed. She got up and hugged Arashi tight and kissed his forehead.
I promise. You'll see. He isn't as bad as he appears.
She said, walking towards the SUV.
Oh, we're leaving right now? What about Mom and Dad?
There's no time. I told them I'd pick you up. You think we didn't all see you jump out of the window this morning?
Embarrassed, he put his hand on his head to cover his face.
Yeah, it's okay. Besides, in my opinion, you're old enough to make your own decisions. When I was your age, I was practically on my own raising Shamari. You're capable.
He couldn't agree more. Just then, the window rolled down.
Hey, who out there talking crap?
I heard my name, Shamari said from the driver's seat. Arashi waved at him, happy to see his annoying big brother.
Get in the car, young prince. It's adventure time. Pew, 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 pew.
As they drove, Nanabe explained the meaning of Mutahara to Arashi.
It's an old Hindi translation meaning root, otherwise known as your root chakra, the basis of your existence. It is located at the base of your spine. It represents the thing that creates the foundation of your life and connects you to your past lives, animal and human.
She was cut off when the SUV took a sharp turn around a corner, causing her to grab the handrail. Shamari was a crazy driver, but he always insisted on taking the wheel. She glared at him and then continued.
Our organization took the name because we are the root, the foundation behind the human enterprise to evolve and become better and create greater harmony between humans and the rest of the world. This is our mission, and fear ain't gonna stop us.
She spoke with unwavering conviction. That's always been Nanabe. When she put her mind to something, there was no shaking her.
Have you been meditating?
He shook his head no. He never felt the urge to meditate after several attempts. Now that he understood that fear had blocked him from his connection with his true spirit energy, he was willing to try anything to unlock those powers.
Okay, let's try a simple exercise then. Close your eyes and control your breathing. Relax your body and imagine your mind moving forward outside of yourself. This is what we call astral projection. And if you have someone in mind, just picture them, and you should find yourself with them in spirit form.
He nods his head and closes his eyes and allows his muscles to untense. But when his body lurched forward in his seat, he opened them again.
Shy! Damn it! Stop driving like a maniac!
My bad.
That red light came out of nowhere.
Idiot.
Your daddy's an idiot.
The both of you shut the hell up. Sorry.
Nanabe took a deep breath and urged Arashi to try again. He shook his head and smiled at their bickering. He closed his eyes and allowed his muscles to relax again. He slowed down his breathing and started to push his consciousness forward. His head started to tingle, then his arms, and then his legs. Then suddenly, he could see with his own eyes closed. He was floating in between Shimari and Nanabe. He turned his astral form around, saw himself with his own eyes closed, and Frank and Martin in the back. But when he looked at Martin, he felt like he was looking back at him. Freaky. He spun back around and reached out a finger towards Nanabe. When his fingers contacted her mind, a flash of images started berating his vision. Whoa, holy crap! He was getting a glimpse of all the things that had happened in her past. He saw woods and lots of green trees. He saw her as a little girl in the forest. She had her hands raised, and he could see that she was helping the trees grow and the flowers bloom. The image disappeared, and he was hit with another memory. This time, it was of her and Shimari as kids. They both looked upset, standing in the doorway of a big house with an older man in front of them. There was a police officer at the door. He couldn't hear what they were saying, but he could feel her grief for a brief moment. Then, the memory disappeared, and he found himself drifting in a dark, cloudy sky. He could see other people floating around him. It was the elders. He recognized their cloaks, even though it had been years since he last saw them. Their eyes were glowing white, and they were preparing for something. He saw a young Nanabe speaking to one of the elders. It was her granddad, the great shaman. He touched her forehead and sent her sailing backwards to Earth. Before the image faded, he looked into the sky and saw those familiar red eyes and the shimmering black crystal upon its head. Fear. Then the sky exploded in light, and he released the connection. He was hurled back into his body like a rubber band snapping into place. Nanabe turned around in her seat. She looked at him with curious eyes and smiled.
What'd you see?
A lot?
Yeah, it can be a doozy. Try again. This time, picture someone you want to see.
He closed his eyes again. This time, when his consciousness left his body, he pushed further, and he had Ishara in mind. In an instant, he was floating outside his window in Harlem. Ishara was pecking at the window and trying to get in. It didn't look like she was having much luck getting Burmese attention. He reached out to her with his mind. Oh, sister, I see you. She turned around and looked directly at him.
Brother? Oh, finally! You're astral projecting. I swear boys learn so slowly.
Hey, how can you see? Well, of course you can see me.
Are you okay? Where are you? Did the cops take you in?
Nope, I'm good. Nana and Shai picked me up. Hey, did you know she ran a secret organization of spirit warriors?
Of course I did.
Yeah, of course you did, yeah. He looked past her into the window. He heard loud music being played and saw Bremy bouncing around from room to room, dancing and cleaning up. Her favorite thing to do when she was stressed.
There was no way I was getting through to her.
She said, flying off. Hey, where you going?
Well, there's no use in me being here if you're safe and she's in dance fever mode. So I'm coming to find you.
Well, you're going the wrong way. Without thinking, he reached out his hand to grab her. But when he connected to her body, a light sparked and instantly enveloped both of them. And suddenly, he snapped back into his body in the SUV and brought Ishara along with him. She was still flying forward and found herself flying around inside the vehicle. Oh, what in the Houdini? Ah, get it out! Get it out! Shimari screamed in shock. He swerved the SUV back and forth, trying to regain control as the chaos ensued inside. Ishara kept trying to find her way out. She was still delirious from the transport. Nanabe was screaming in the front seat, praying they wouldn't crash. Arashi was trying to grab Ishara at the same time.
All right, that's enough!
Frank yells as an orange light bursts from his fingertips and illuminates the car. Everything stopped. The gravity turned off. Arashi looked outside the window as he slightly hovered from his own seat and saw the car itself was suspended off the ground. He reached out and grabs Ishara and holds her close to his chest. Who the hell are these guys? Frank closed his hands and the car hit the ground with a thud. They all huffed as it landed, and Shai quickly pulled over and parked the car for a moment so they could all regain their composure. Nanabe spoke first. She was out of breath from fright.
Is everyone okay? Frank, thanks for the assist. Ari, You just grabbed a living being from the air in your astral projection form and was able to transmute their physical body to your location. Incredible. Should have known you had all this power.
Yeah, incredible. Thanks for the warning. I think I'm gonna be sick.
Well, now that you teleport and stuff, how about you teleport us some KFC? Shamari said. Bernabe just brought her hands up to his neck and pretended like she was choking him out.
How are you feeling after that?
She asked him. He just looked at her and smiled really big and gave her the thumbs up. He was feeling great. It was exciting to explore more.
Good! That was simply amazing. There's no telling the total extent your abilities can go to once you've harnessed the power of the crystals. We'll come up with a plan of action once we get back to headquarters.
Headquarters? Where's that?
It's a secret location right outside the city. Super cute.
Get ready, little bro. You about to graduate to the big leagues, okay? Pew, pew, pew. Shamari said, starting up the car. He held onto Ishara tightly. Something was telling him he wasn't going home for a long time. End of chapter 12.